Where do the Georgia Bulldogs sit with some of their top in-state defensive targets in the 2026 class? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. They've got 3 commitments from the state of Georgia already on the commit list. 2 safeties, 4-star Jordan Smith out of Houston County, who committed to the Dogs this past weekend, and 3-star safety Keelan Jones out of Sprayberry, who committed, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago now. They also have Seven Cloud, a promising defensive lineman out of the JUCO ranks, but he is from the state of Georgia as well. So we're going to talk about other targets, and we're going to stop at the at the top with 5-star Tyler Atinson. I'm not going to dive in too much here because I've already talked about him in several other videos. I've been talking about this guy for years because he is that good. He's elite. He is a shiny 5-star prospect, one of the best linebackers I have ever covered, and I've covered a lot of good ones. I still think Georgia's the team to beat here for the number 1 linebacker and the number 8 overall prospect in the country. It's not a slam dunk. I do think Ohio State is going to do everything they can to try to land this kid. Oregon, Texas, Clemson, a few other schools involved. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's given everyone an equal opportunity. But at the end of the day, like I've said pretty recently, I have a hard time seeing Tyler Atinson, who's been recruited by Georgia since the 8th grade, look at Glenn Schumann and say, no thanks, I'm going to leave the state and go play elsewhere. Here's what he had to say about Glenn Schumann. If you haven't heard these quotes, either on Dawg Post or on other videos, he said, quote, Coach Schumann knows the game of football. He's knowledgeable and has coached some of the best linebackers in the league right now. It's great to get over there and learn from him. Everyone wants to be a part of a winning program, and Coach Smart does a great job of pushing his guys. I love the way they play the game. I've been taking visits to Georgia since I was in 8th grade. They tell me they want a guy like me in the program, and you can read other quotes over on Dawg Post. He made 166 tackles last year, 32 tackles for a loss, 13 sacks. The guy does it all and helped lead Grayson to a state championship last year. Now, a few other defenders, highly ranked defenders from Georgia, are committed elsewhere. Jordan Edmonds, a 5-star cornerback, is committed to Alabama. Xavier Griffin, a 5-star linebacker, is committed to USC. Bryce Perry Wright out of Buford, I don't think he's going to end up at Georgia. Deuce Gerald's at Collins Hill. He's a top edge defender. I don't think he's going to Georgia. Brandon Roos at Kell High School, I think he's leaning Tennessee. But after that, Georgia's looking pretty good for guys like Kamari Brooks, who is a fantastic edge defender out of North Oconee, 6'3", 230, built really well. Easy to notice if you go watch him play. I was watching Landon Roldan play last year, and Kamari Brooks stood out immediately. He made 131 tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, 13 sacks, an interception, a couple forced fumbles and fumble recoveries, 24 quarterback hurries. This is one of the best pass rushers in the state of Georgia. He's the number 16 edge defender, number 11 overall prospect in Georgia, and the number 106 prospect in the 2026 class. He's a big deal, and I think Georgia leads Alabama right now for him. So one of the top overall defenders and one of the best pass rushers in the state nearby, right? Athens is a very quick drive for him, and I think Georgia is in the best position right now to land him from what I'm hearing. So that's definitely a guy that Georgia fans need to keep a close eye on. Along the defensive line, Ernest Rankings is a lean but athletic defensive lineman out of Southwest DeKalb in the Atlanta area, 6'4", 260, moves really well. He's the number 9 defensive line prospect in the country, number 112 overall. He's the number 12 player in Georgia. So a guy that Georgia fans need to keep a close eye on. Georgia offered him in September before everyone else did. Ohio State actually offered him last weekend. We'll see if some interest emerges there. That's always a big offer. He'll be in Athens June 20th for his official visit. He's got officials lined up to Auburn and Ole Miss as well. So, we'll see how much NIL comes into play here with these other programs, but I do like Georgia's chances right now for the in-state defensive lineman who has his best football still ahead of him. He's a guy who can come and put on more weight, but a really impressive young man from just outside of Atlanta that Georgia fans need to know about. Tyreek Green, one of the best players in Gwinnett County, in my opinion. He was offered by Georgia very early on. I believe he was at Kell High School as a freshman getting offered by Georgia. And I remember thinking at the time, I don't know if this is a real committable offer or if this is a, hey, here's an offer, but I keep an eye on you offer, right? You're on our radar type of offer. It's too young to put you anywhere on our board, but we like you. Here's an offer, and we'll see where things go. I thought he was a little too small. I didn't know he was that athletic, but I've changed my tune on this young man. He is 5'10", 190 pounds, so he has added weight, put on more size. He's the number 6 athlete in the state of Georgia, number 163 overall. 5 interceptions for Buford now. So he's playing at a winning program that's super duper serious about football. A team that plays to a standard, right? KJ Bolden has talked about that for a while. He's playing at a place like Buford where you have to practice and play to a standard. That made it easier getting to Athens because I already had that mentality. Tyreek Green has that as well. A kind of a do-it-all player for them. At Buford, normally it's you got one position and maybe you help on special teams, but for special players like KJ Bolden, who did offense, defense, special teams, Tyreek Green is that type of guy. He had 5 interceptions for the Wolves in the secondary. Outstanding number, especially when you consider that the teams that he played against week in and week out. But he also ran for 527 yards and 8 touchdowns. Definitely a guy to keep an eye on. I think he has a committable offer. Peyton Dyer is also defensive back in Gwinnett County. He's out of Duluth. Was a former South Carolina commit. Georgia's been pushing there. He's got some muscle on him, man. He is built well in the secondary. He's got the look, plays hard, he's aggressive, can make a lot of plays in coverage, and I think he is very much open to Georgia. Again, Duluth is not super far from Athens. I think that's within an hour or so, right? So those are 2 defensive backs in the Gwinnett County area that I think Georgia fans need to know about. Tyreek Green, a do-it-all type of player. Peyton Dyer, one of the best cornerbacks in the state and a former South Carolina commitment. He's opened things up now. Wouldn't surprise me if Georgia took some momentum in his recruitment. Another edge defender to know, Quinn. Again, out of Norcross, Greater Atlanta Christian, another Gwinnett County kid, not too far from Athens. 4-star pass rusher who looks the part for sure. About 6'3", 220 pounds. Wasn't super productive last year, only 42 tackles, handful of sacks. He is the number 31 edge defender in the country, number 30 overall prospect in Georgia. My notes say that he will be in Athens for an official visit the weekend of May 30th. I'd watch Clemson and Georgia Tech here. I think the Jackets are probably making him the top priority. I think Georgia likes him. I don't know if they love him. I think Kamari Brooks is a better player in my opinion. But it doesn't feel from what I've gathered that Georgia is making him this top priority compared to other schools. I think they like him. I think they would bring him on board, but we'll see where things play out there. But certainly looks the part, and I think he's got the potential to be a more productive player. I think he'll have a really big year for the Spartans as a senior next fall. But good player, and again, he's a top 30 prospect in the state that I think Georgia fans need to keep an eye on. Another edge defender who recently just got a Georgia offer just a few days ago is Corey Howard out of South Georgia, Valdosta High School. This is a guy who was fairly productive last year for the Wildcats. 36 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, 4.5 sacks, but again, a guy with a lot of potential. He's got a great frame, 6'6", 260. Georgia watched him practice during the spring and said, hey, he's on our board and he's going to have an offer from the University of Georgia today. So that's a South Georgia kid who's going to see his ranking rise more and more over time as he will probably continue to add other offers. But, you know, this staff is still out looking for guys, right? They've got their board and it's up and down. Some guys at the top are probably staying there, but they always have an eye on new prospects that emerge. Every summer when they have guys on campus, they extend offers and sometimes they quickly climb Georgia's board. So new prospects are going to keep emerging, and Corey Howard, I think, is one of those guys. So that's a South Georgia pass rusher to keep an eye on with plenty of size and, you know, a guy that Georgia has identified and offered. So just a few names there. There are others I'll probably talk about more, but the big fish, Tyler Atinson, the 5-star linebacker, that is the big prize. He is the best player in the state, the best linebacker in the state. He's incredibly productive. He's got the talent. This is a guy that Georgia's been recruiting since 8th grade, but it's not a guarantee this guy goes to Georgia. I like the Dawg's chances and have from the beginning of his recruitment. I would watch Ohio State there. Kamari Brooks, I like Georgia over Alabama this second. We'll see if things change over the summer when he takes those official visits, earn his rankings. Again, an Atlanta area defensive lineman. Georgia fans need to keep an eye on the 2 defensive backs. Tyreek Green out of Buford. Nasir McCoy is a safety that has a Georgia offer. They've been recruiting him for a while. He's at Buford too, but they've got 3 safeties already on the commit list. So I think he'll probably end up elsewhere. And then Dre Quinn is a guy to know as well. And then Corey Howard out of Valdosta. So just a few in-state guys to keep an eye on. I will make a video about out-of-state defensive targets probably soon. But as far as in-state guys, that's a quick list for you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. You can read all about this and more over on dawgpost.com. So I will see you over on the website.